Welcome, everyone, to Tech Town Square. It's Wednesday night. Eddie, what's happening, brother?
James, I'm still laughing about that incredibly inappropriate joke, so I'll save it for the backstage show afterwards. Join us on Clubhouse, and I hope you won't hate me. All right, I'm British. I'm irreverent. Think Ricky Gervais. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this show. This is fantastic. Audience members, guide us, jump in. Let's have conversation. James and I have some pretty big deal. It's going to be a big deal announcements to make today. So stay tuned for the hour, and then we'll meet you in Clubhouse afterwards again. James, what else?
So let's go from you, Eddie Doyle. Paul is with us, the awesome Paul. Come to the Speak Easy. I love it. That's actually a great idea. Speak Easy. I love it. Hello to Miguel.
Hey,
thank you for joining us. Oh, we've missed you, man. Where you been? I've noticed, welcome everyone to the Tech Town Square tonight. We're talking about shadow banning. And I have, Eddie and I have been going through, we've put a lot of sweat, blood, effort into the show. I'd say since we started it in about November, December of last year. Miguel, so to answer this real quick question, Clubhouse. The Clubhouse link is right here on LinkedIn. If you actually open, you'll see the Clubhouse link. You can go click that link. It'll take you directly to the room. That room will go live at 2100 hours.
And if you need an invite, Miguel, just DM me and I'll give you an invite for Clubhouse if you need an invite to get in. Okay, buddy.
Absolutely. Eddie, are you keeping Miguel busy so he can't be on the show?
Exactly. That's right. All right. We'll free up some time there, man. And I'll give you a thumbs up on that one.
Paul has a lot of questions. We're going to get to that. But today's topic, shadow banning. And we have a pretty big announcement. We're being shadow banned as we speak. I've kind of been notified that this show is being shadow banned going forward. So if for everyone who's right now with us, please like, share, comment. Even if you just comment with the word hi. Comment, because that'll get more people to see it. It beats their algorithm. The show is being shadow banned. We confirmed that. So 2 weeks ago, we'll start off with why we're talking about shadow banning. Right. Fair enough.
And let's talk about how we suspect we were shadow banned as well. What shadow banning is.
Right. Okay. So go ahead, Eddie. Kick us off, buddy.
So shadow banning in its most basic essence, and I've really just discovered this in the last few months. So you can still have this experience. So James and I I've got my LinkedIn open right here, and I always watch the show at the same time occasionally because I see names and thumbs up on things. And so you can still see things and you can still act as though everything's working fine. You can send messages, you can do live streams. But what shadow banning is an algorithm where at big tech companies, they've learned that they can turn off people's conversation for reasons. We'll get to that in just a moment. And so it simply becomes that the audience has a hard time finding you. You're not as easily accessible. Right. And we therefore don't have the audience coming onto our show. So last week in fact, I'd like to fall on our sword too here. Last week, we made two critical mistakes as to when we were talking about shadow banning. We really confirmed it the week before last. And I said to James, really? And he's like, yeah, it's been confirmed now. YouTube actually gave an answer. And I think it was something to do, what was YouTube's answer as to why they shadow banned us? It was was it?
So we had people making comments on LinkedIn. And while you and I were talking, we read several of those comments. One of them was around critical race theory and something along those lines. And right then and there, YouTube shadow banned our feed. So our feed was trending in the YouTube live area. And then bam, there it was. We got shadow banned and we saw our numbers automatically depleted. And then within 5-7 minutes of YouTube taking us down, we had the same thing happen in LinkedIn where people were actually DMing me and going, hey, James, are you guys still live? I can't see the feed anymore. And it says the link, the feed's no longer available.
Right. So here's the problem. We talk about subject matter, and as you know, our audience, and as we know of you, we talk very respectfully about subject matter, but there are algorithms out there looking for that. In actual fact, I had a guy from this show, as a matter of fact, send me some goofy, hate mail over LinkedIn's email, just about some commentaries. Fine. First Amendment stuff. And so LinkedIn sent me an automatic message saying we flagged this in-mail, the LinkedIn in-mail, as something like derogatory. And I thought, gee, so their algorithms are looking for words and they just stitch them together. And when they see them, They ban. Okay, well, we can't have that. Now, we made a mistake last week because James and I said, okay, how can we get around this? Because we have to solve this problem. We've solved it, and this is what we're going to announce to you today. And we're also going to talk about the First Amendment and what effect shadow banning is having on meritocracy and our world and our system. And so we said, well, let's choose a light subject matter. And we spoke about Virgin Galactic's trip going into space. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Rightfully, it was fairly boring. And I think we got fairly hit hard with, you know what, that was not a cool subject matter. You know, it's like, I could have seen that on the news. We were trying to cater to the fact that, okay, well, afterwards we can do an after show on Clubhouse and talk about whatever we want. We're not going to do that. We shall not be muzzled, right? First Amendment. So we'll talk a little bit about how we have actually solved this problem in a moment, but let's continue the discussion on shadow banning and the effects it has. Should we get through some comments right now, James?
Yeah, absolutely. So a bunch of people commented here. Paul Cummings said the Clubhouse room that we go into, you guys can search in Clubhouse. It's called Tech Town Square Backstage. Join us there. Meet Kumar. Hello. Thank you so much for being with us. The awesome Kevin Peterson is with us. David is with us.
David,
Jimmy is now with the favorite
shadow ban. Thank you, Jimmy. Agreed.
And Paul says, "Are we really are we really talking that controversial? Talking real cyber news in here?" Yes, yes, and yes. I've been told by several people I've spoken to within LinkedIn about this over the last few weeks because I've been very, very frustrated. I love this show, and I love why Eddie and I created this show. The idea is that we can have educated debate, we can have really good conversation, and we can respect different viewpoints and listen and talk about some controversial stuff in a respectful and educated and open manner like debate has always been.
Right. And bear in mind, Paul, that it's not personal against us. The algorithm simply finds words, and because we're not afraid to talk about subject matter like critical race theory, so there's one thing the algorithm's already pulled down, then we'll say COVID, well, algorithm's pulling down that word, and then let's, I don't know, throw in the word terrorist, right? Boom, done, shadow banned. And so then what you have to do in the real world, you say, oh, my video is shadow banned. So you reach out to YouTube and LinkedIn, which is what James did, and YouTube replied. But in this case, a human being needs to go, oh, okay, sorry, guess it wasn't anything too bad in the end because you were just talking about things, not saying any misinformation about COVID, let's say, because that's what they're looking for. And then they turn it back on. Well, guess what? Too late for the live show. So that doesn't work for us. Now, so here's an interesting thing. This is so George Orwell. I know I've mentioned that guy a few times. Here's an interesting thing, because conversation and challenging current thoughts, if we hadn't had that, we would have stayed in the Dark Ages, right? Copernicus, who was, I think, strung and quartered for this by the Roman Catholic Church, said, hey, guess what? The whole universe doesn't revolve around the Earth. We revolve around the sun, and we're just a little speck in an entire galaxy of stuff. If he hadn't had that kind of conversation, which was an affront to the establishment who killed him for it, well, we wouldn't have progressed to where we are today. Now we've got algorithms causing that restriction in conversation.
And there's no clear rules to the algorithm, meaning when I asked YouTube or LinkedIn, hey, in the last 2 weeks when you've shadow banned us, please tell me what was it that caused the shadow ban?
Right.
Was it a comment, a statement, a sentence we said? Please tell me what it is. So we know what are, if we're going to play on the playground and you're going to set the rules, at least let us know what the rules are. So we know to decide whether or not we want to abide by those rules, but those rules don't really exist, right? Not for they're whatever whoever decides them somewhere. And so I'll get to a few comments here real quick because I've got a one for this one.
Hello, Matt Lee
with us. And folks, Matt Lee survived Chicago. America's war zone. Matt Lee, you're coming home strong, bro.
And O'Hare is a dreadful airport to roll into and get into the city on. And there's another strike against us on James's point. The other strike is that, yes, and I don't want to make a big deal out of this or be victimized about it or talk in a victimized fashion about it, because that's just sport, quite frankly. we do have an opposing opinion to the people who are actually at the keyboards in big tech companies. That is also a problem. I'm not going to cry about it and be a baby and just say, oh, they're all left wing and I'm not and blah, blah. But it is an issue, because the reality is, if they really had time to thread through our posts and our messages and find out who we were, they just wouldn't like us. Not because we're bad human beings, but because of this whole hysteria over things like the word Trump, right, in the last 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, so we also don't have human beings supporting us when we say we don't have clear rules anyway, when we say we got shadow banned for no reason. But I'd love to talk about, we're going to talk about our solution toward the end of the show. It's going to be great. But I would love to talk about what you think, you, the audience, and you, James, think the effect is going to be of muzzling conversation. I'll give you one more example. James and I both experienced this. People watching our show who have never commented, but direct message us. And I've had it a little bit more on a couple of other kind of shows as well on things that I've been really controversial about, and I'm happy to have them here. But these people would DM and they'll say, Eddie, I really loved it. And I remember replying, well, yeah, I didn't even know you were watching. Why didn't you jump in? I don't want there to be a public record. Now, these people are afraid of HR departments who have become real sergeant majors at corporations and have way too much power. And think about that. One of the guys that DM'd me on this is the CISO for, I can't even say the industry because you'll guess it. I'll give the broad terms, a financial organization that passes $1 trillion worth of stuff. And if they went down during, let's say, the pandemic or something else, there'd be mayhem. They haven't. I'm a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal compared to him, and he's muzzled. He's not allowed to talk. That's what I want to discuss. Beautiful. I think I set it up, James.
Yeah. So your comments here are fine. That's why we started doing Backstage on Clubhouse, because we were getting so many of these DMs that we said, let's move this to another platform. But in the idea, in the concept of why we're getting shadow banned, or why the shadow banning is going on, I'm seeing it right now. I know our historic levels of viewers on all the different platforms. I know when we're being muzzled. I know when we're not. I know they're tightening it. But I'll go to Eddie's point. I was speaking to a very big YouTuber, someone who's got 3-4 channels on YouTube, gets about every video of his gets 1 to 2 million views, and he actually monetizes YouTube very, very well. And we were talking last week, and I asked him. I said, YouTuber X, tell me, what do I need? What am I not doing? What should I be doing? And YouTuber X has already said, we do a lot of content off YouTube now. So we do some very, not fluff, but we do some very serious conversations, understanding that we get some clear guidelines from YouTube. The clearer we get them, the better. So when they take a content off, we'll talk to them, we'll get the content back up. But YouTube has been purging accounts. For the last 3 years, they've been purging thousands of accounts off of YouTube. So they've been kicking off accounts off the partner program, right? So that you can't monetize your YouTube videos. So they essentially put you out of business without putting you out of business, and say, you can keep your content on YouTube, we'll keep ad revenue on it, but you don't get any ad revenue, right?
They can just do that? That's in the T's and C's for those guys?
Yep.
Wow.
They can kick you off their partner program because you have to apply. So you got to reach like an X amount of subscribers. So you got to reach 1,000 subscribers. You got to reach 4,000 hours of watch time in 1 year in order to qualify for the partner program.
And does the shadow banning, if you get shadow banned, would that be included in those numbers? Right. So that's what you mean. They can take you out of business.
They can. Remember what they did to Steven Crowder? They said, Steven Crowder, we love your millions and millions of views, but we're going to demonetize you for a year.
See, I didn't know that. Yeah. Oh, really? So that's what they actually did. They just took away the fact that he could get ad revenue.
So last year they demonetized Crowder because he did a segment with a very woke person where he made fun of that person, and that person went to YouTube and went on a Twitter storm, and people said, cancel Crowder, and YouTube decided to demonetize his channel. Right.
And they told him it was for that reason? Did they tell him it was for that reason? They said,
yeah. They said that. But Crowder's a comedian. He makes fun of people.
Right.
You and I are not comedians. Right. So demonetizing, like when my channel gets shadow banned, it has a direct impact on my bottom line as a show, because I make some ad revenue from Google and when and YouTube, and when they do that, then my revenue goes down.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And my view time goes down, which then could disqualify me from being part of the program for another year, right? So they can shadow ban me to the point where they kick me out of the partner program for not meeting the criteria.
Wow. Yeah, and they're actually saying in Crowder's case, they said this is a punishment. We can just do this to you because you said nasty things. Wow.
Right.
And now you can discipline an adult like that.
And now there's conversation from the White House that they want to repeal Section 230 for social media companies, making them essentially eliminating their immunity for content that goes on their platform.
But Section 230 doesn't apply to big tech yet. Well, yes, yet.
It does. Section 230 does. That's how they're not getting sued.
Oh, right. So you're saying the White House wants to leave it in place, or they want to take it away so that they can get sued?
Biden wants to take it away.
So that we can start suing them?
Allegedly. But it's more of the idea of we're going to take it away so that they start to essentially they start to moderate even their content a little bit more. Okay.
Oh, no, that's bad.
Yes.
Oh, okay. But
so Trump also wanted to repeal 230. Trump also wanted to repeal 230 because they felt like
it protects them, though. So by taking it off, we can sue the hell out of them. So that's a good thing.
No, you can't. So what 230 says is that the platform isn't responsible. It can't be sued for something that Eddie says on the platform.
Okay, right. Oh, I
That's
see.
That's what 230 does.
So why would Trump want to take that away? They all hated him.
It's a great question.
Yeah, politics.
But they all talk about taking it away, but then nothing ever happens. It seems like it's just, I feel like they're playing with our emotions. You know what I mean? On that aspect. I want to say hi to Bob, who's joining us. Hey, Bob, how's it going? People are awfully quiet today, by the way. I want to tell you, Matt's quiet, Paul's quiet, Miguel's quiet, Kevin's
to be quiet, or the teacher's going to pick on you here. There was another thing, the internet. What did Biden just reinstate? That Obama had, Trump took it off, but Biden put it in, and it was something to do with telcos fairly recently. Nathan's on. Yo, Nathan. I'm just going to have a look at it up on my phone here for a second. It means I'm going to lose, but I want to understand that a little bit more. Okay, so
Nathan says, "Should I be quiet?" No, Nathan, don't let anyone quiet you down, brother.
Exactly.
No, but taking it into that direction of shadow banning. So it kind of brings up the conversation around big tech, and it's kind of where it brought us to the show. And I think we should get on with our announcement here. We're 20 minutes into the show. We'll tell you guys kind of where we're at, what are the next steps for the Tech Town Square. Eddie and I have been having these conversations even once the shadow ban started, and we said, well, where do we see this program? I think Eddie and I have also reached out to some of you guys and then spoken to you about what you love and about the program, and a lot of you love to be part of it, love the discussion, but a lot of you are concerned, and a lot of people who are watching who don't typically comment, right, are concerned about commenting on LinkedIn because people can see what you comment on, they can see part of the conversation, it becomes problematic, and that's kind of led us to put our brains together. I've got a big whiteboard where Eddie and I spend a few hours every week kind of jotting down our ideas about the show and things that we want to take forward, and we've decided to take the show off of the big tech platforms, meaning we will post short segments on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, maybe 2 to 5 minutes, no more than that, simply because we understand that they're trying to restrict us and muzzle us, and we're not going to play that game. We're going to get a step over it. We're going to take the show off of here. We're going to move the show to locals.com. Kevin knows Locals. Locals is Dave Rubin's platform. If you guys don't know Dave Rubin used to be with the Young Turks, a great guy, has the Rubin report. And my former producer, Micah, actually turned me on to Dave Rubin. So when I started the podcast, I had a producer, Micah. Some of you guys do know Micah. Micah's unbelievable, really, really special guy. And so Micah says, James, you got to listen to Dave Rubin. You'll really like Dave Rubin. I said, sure, why not? Started listening to Dave Rubin. Really liked Rubin's content. He's very sensible. Liked Rubin. So Rubin was also getting muzzled by YouTube. Some of his content was getting kicked off. So Rubin, being an actual doer rather than a talker, went out and started a website called locals.com. You guys can all go to locals.com and open a profile there. And it's for creators, people like us, where we can create content and it's free. And we can create content and put it there. And you guys can be part of our community on locals.com. And we'll be doing the show. They don't have live stream yet on Locals. And it's going to be in beta. So that's one of the challenges is our timing of moving to Locals. So what we're going to do is as we rebrand and get ready to go to Locals, we're going to move the show to Clubhouse. So we'll be doing it in audio format. We'll be doing it in Clubhouse. It'll be much easier to run on Clubhouse until we can move it to video and to locals.com. At the moment, Locals only allows live streaming to several accounts, but it's still in beta and being tested. And so I've applied for us to be part of the beta test, but we need to get a big community in order for them to give us the keys to the kingdom to try it in beta. So over the next few weeks, Eddie and I will set up our community in locals.com. You guys will be able to join it. We're also going to talk. You want to talk about the new name and kind of what we're thinking of doing from
I think so, yeah, because you'll pick us up. You'll be talking to us on Clubhouse anyway, but you'll pick us up at Locals when we're streaming under a new branded name, Digital Debate, right? Because what we want to encourage, the original genesis for this was actually James calling me. This was probably last November, mate, almost a year now, right? Saying, because we'd done a podcast together, we'd done a couple of other things, we're just chatting. We became friends, it was during the lockdown. And so then we started chatting about, we really need a place where we can just discuss these ideas. And that's the Tech Town Square. But what we really want too is debate. And we want people on the show with us on occasion that would disagree with us, right? Because James and I agree on a lot of fundamental stuff. There's probably only one fundamental issue we don't agree on, which we're totally cool about, by the way. And maybe we'll talk about that on the new platform. But then we thought, well, digital debate, because that will help people keeping the technology piece with digital and then us debating. I want to encourage more of a debate because that's what sharpens us as human beings. Right? I know it hurts a bit, which is why the woke crowd tend to cry whenever there's disagreement. But, so it's, in spite of that hurt, that's what makes us stronger. I want that. I want people to sharpen me, right? And you, the audience, and my relationship with James does that in this open forum. So, hey, I'm really looking forward to going to Locals. I think it's going to be a hoot, right? So so James, I think we're also going to take the next 2 weeks to kind of get everything sorted out and start branding. Correct. And then we'll be back on Clubhouse after that. So there'll be a 2-week break here this summer, next week and the week after, and that's it.
Right. It also coincides with Eddie going on a little vacation here.
Miguel will be jealous.
Yeah. It's quite okay. Yeah, we are going to go. So for those joining now, because all of a sudden when we said locals.com, LinkedIn was like, no. Don't leave. We need platform time. Right. So for those joining the show now, we're talking about shadow banning. The show's been shadow banned for 2 weeks. We've confirmed the shadow banning, meaning we're not being paranoid. We're not doing, a horrible job. Our numbers have grown extensively week over week, month over month, as we've done the show organically, thanks to you and everyone here who's watching and listening. In the event of shadow banning, Eddie and I have decided that we are going to rethink how we do this, and so we're moving to Locals. We're going to move the show to locals.com. Here's the beauty of locals.com. We also get to control our community, meaning we get to see who's watching the show. We can do shows where it's only available to specific members of a community. We can do so many different things. We can put out content. We'll be putting out daily feels and not just weekly stuff. When stuff happens, Eddie and I can record a video and post it. We'll have a little bit more privacy, which is awesome. You can say anything you want to say on locals, and if it's under private mode within the community, only people within the community can see it, which will help us all really debate. And we don't always have to agree. And we're not trying to create an echo chamber on locals, but what we're really trying to do is be able to have real debate. And Eddie and I have been talking to people who we disagree with about coming on the show and doing all of that. So that's really, really important. I want to get to some of your comments here, folks. So one, bravo. I think that's Nathan telling us bravo for moving away from big tech into locals. And 230 is Matt Lee says, yes, 230 is the protection for the platform for content on a platform from the users directly. Heather is with us. I'm here, just joined, was in a meeting. And she also thinks your shirt is amazing.
This is the bucket of paint's been chopped on the shirt. And yeah, David.
It looks like a bag of Skittles. This is Heather saying ShadowBan, no locals talk. And Nathan says, first I was afraid, I was petrified, blah, blah, music. I will survive via locals. Yes. Evening all. Hey, Anthony, thank you for being with us, Anthony. So yeah, what we're going to do, and we want to make the show a little bit more interactive, is we'll be doing a backstage on Clubhouse still every week. We'll be building this community and doing a show live once locals allows us to go live. Whenever that is, we will go live on locals, and you guys will be able to be there with us. We'll still be putting out videos for the show on LinkedIn, so you guys make sure you follow Eddie if you're not connected with Eddie on LinkedIn. Make sure you're connected with me if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, and make sure you're following the CyberHub podcast LinkedIn page, because we'll be posting stuff there as well. And also on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to the CyberHub podcast page on YouTube, go and do that right now. That really does help, because we'll be posting stuff with the links to locals there once we launch the community. And I think that's really important, is over the next few weeks, we're going to be building the landing page and everything for the community. And we're going to be renaming the show in 2 weeks' time, right, Eddie? August.
To the digital...
No Down Square. What will it be, Eddie?
The digital debates. That's what we'll get to. And in the heart of, let's say, the digital debate, I really want to debate this very interesting way that our First Amendment is getting crushed. Like, it's fascinating to me, because it's almost not purposeful. There is that little bit of, political disagreement, let's say, but it's I'm seeing it so much more in the algorithms today, right? The algorithms are just not that smart. But what they're doing is it's like throwing a massive fishing net over an entire school of fish just to catch one crab, right? It doesn't make sense. But that's as smart as the algorithm can possibly be right now. And so there is.
I disagree with you.
Good.
I disagree with you.
Well, you can tell me why.
The algorithm is super smart. I think they've cast a very wide net through their algorithm. I think when they see shows like ours, and they see people engaging and being able to talk and being able to express opinions, they get concerned and they shut it down. I'll tell you something else. I do the other side of cyber with JJ. We moved that show from YouTube and doing it everywhere only to Clubhouse. Ask me why.
Why did you move it, James?
We did a show a few months ago where we talked about COVID-19 vaccine scams, where we were highlighting how people are selling COVID-19 vaccines that they don't have a right to sell because they don't have them. No one's selling these
vaccines.
That's
what I'm saying. The algorithm's not smart enough. So what?
No, we had 2 people in YouTube review it. The first time, they were like, yeah, algorithm made a mistake. You're right. There's nothing inappropriate in your content. Video's back online. Right. 24 hours later, content gets flagged again for COVID-19 misinformation. Another human reviews it, decides, bam, you can't. we're taking down your content and we're going to put a strike on your account, James. And I said,
wow.
How?
Wow.
No explanation, no nothing. They just outright decided that, guess what? You were trying to warn people of COVID-19 vaccine scams, meaning people who would get a text message that says, book your appointment now, get VIP, pay us $100 and go get your appointment. You know, it's absolutely unfathomable that happened, but it did.
Yeah. See, I wonder how it's working over there, because there's obviously people from, let's say, the CDC who are just yapping about COVID, vaccines, scams, you know, fake, these kinds of trigger words that we're obviously being triggered for right now in their algorithms. But they can't stop everything from happening, or the good information. I'm not saying that the CDC's information is good or bad. I'm just saying that it's been flagged as good. So the algorithm has to say, okay, that's whatever's coming out of this mouth, this CDC mouth, let that fly. Because otherwise the algorithm's going to block them too. Because as you pointed out, it's the algorithm that does the work initially. It's not the human. Humans just don't have time for that nonsense, right? There's too much for humans. So the algorithm's muzzling it. Somehow it's letting some people go and others not. And the problem with the others not is even people like Eric Weinstein. So he was on Rogan recently and he requested to be on Rogan. So here's why. I'll give you a little setup as to why Eric Weinstein, who is an evolutionary biologist and a very well qualified evolutionary biologist, he happens to be one of very few people in the world that understands blah, 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 evolution, very technical conversation, right? I'm afraid I have to say it like that because it's very deeply technical. So he was having a conversation about treatments for COVID. He's an evolutionary biologist. Got banned. Now he makes a living from YouTube, so that's a bad situation. And he said to Rogan, he said, "Well, bring me on your show," because it's on Spotify. There's another one that will get us turned back on if we keep mentioning Spotify's name over and over again. So we went on Rogan's show to talk about this, to talk about, look, I've got some very important information about it. I actually don't know if it's right, but I'm using YouTube and all these channels so that I can test the idea. Well, that's what the internet's for. That's what the town hall, the digital debate is about. People testing ideas. You can't keep it to yourself. You have to throw it out there. And what better way than through the internet? This is what I mean by I can see how damaging it could possibly be if we let this one run wild. And I would love to ask the audience, actually, how do we stop it? I mean, let's even get there. I have no clue. I'm thinking about that right now.
Yeah, so we've got some comments. Let's get to some of those comments here. Because people are coming alive, folks. Here we go. You guys don't support the agenda paid for by viewers like you. LOL. I think that's Nathan. I'm pretty sure that is. Anthony went, wow. Miguel goes, it's hard to get a healthy argument these days. But that's the point of this show. And I think that's the one thing that I really want you guys to understand. We're not trying to be provocative. We're not trying to come and say, we know everything and no one else does. We're very several weeks ago, I think 3-4 weeks ago, we had David Vaughn on. We were talking about China or something. David Vaughn came on Clubhouse and schooled us for like 30 minutes on everything we got wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
It's good. I learn. Exactly. All right.
So we want to have debate.
I just read that one.
To get a job,
who said that? Who said that? Nathan. No, I know. Luckily, I've already got one. It's kind of like when you're impressing the girl you want to marry, you're at your best before the marriage. That's what it's like. I've got a job.
Natural language processing is hard, and low-paid human validation has low efficiency rates to person. So I want to kind of argue that point there that Matt brings up. I'll tell you why.
What does that mean?
So Facebook and YouTube, the people who review your videos aren't based in the US. They're in India or Bangladesh or Indonesia, in very low labor spots where these people don't cost you a lot of money. So that's the people who are reviewing the content. And those people, here we go. I'm going to give you an argument. You ready for it? Have bias.
Yeah.
And so, for example, I've got bias in India. So I could put out content that could be very accurate. But the guy in India goes, no, it's not. I'm going to deem it offensive. I'm going to flag it under this policy, and that's that. No one else to talk to. No one else.
Yeah, it's too busy. It's way too busy. Yeah. It will take a shadow
instead of a go ahead, Eddie.
Oh, you got it. Instead of a re-education camp. Yes, right, sure. Who said that? Nathan.
That's Nathan again.
Yeah. Well, believe me, we're a long way from re-education camps, but shadow banning is a step in that direction. So, we'll fight hard for this one.
So I kind of want to summarize where we're at on the show today, folks, and really bring it back to the idea. We're talking about shadow banning on the Tech Town Square. Eddie and I and the show has been shadow banned for the last several weeks here on LinkedIn, YouTube specifically. I see our numbers on YouTube. I know we're getting shadow banned as we speak. I also know that Facebook has completely shadow banned us. We used to be able to stream on Facebook and Instagram simultaneously. They no longer let us do that. They've revoked that right as well. So we're being shadow banned as we speak. We haven't been told what exactly caused the shadow ban. I haven't been given one reason that would tell me why we got shadow banned. It wasn't like you guys had this topic and you guys talked about this and we deemed that to be inappropriate. That's not the case. We've never been told. I've never been given an actual reason by any human on YouTube outside of saying, yeah, we see the shadow ban. You guys have been flagged for misinformation, disinformation, whatever. And that's that. We're taking this right now. And over the last few weeks, Eddie and I have been talking a lot about what we're going to do with this and what do we play. So last week we talked about space tech, and I apologize it was a boring show. I apologize we moved to CLUBHOUSE early, and we had a very exciting and awesome debate on CLUBHOUSE last week. But we wanted to play it safe and see if that changed anything, and it didn't. It didn't change a thing. We still got shadow banned towards the end of the show. In fact, we went from 25 viewers to 7 in a second, and people were texting me going, hey, James, your feed cut out. And I'm like, no, we didn't, and they couldn't get back to the feed and so forth. And so we've decided that what we're going to do, and hey, Micah's here. Hey, Micah, what's happening, man? Micah's the former producer. He's the guy who I started the CyberHub podcast with. He was cool. When I had the idea for the show, Micah was the guy who I said, hey, Micah, we need to know how to start a podcast. And then Micah went on Amazon and bought all the equipment and set it up. And you'll see him if you go back to 2-year-old footage, even footage from a year and a half ago. Mike and I used to do a segment called Ask James. You can find it on our YouTube channel. A lot of fun. So Micah, thank you for joining us. Really happy to see you here. So being the fact that the show's been shadow banned, we're moving the show to Locals. I've actually spoken to the folks over at locals.com. We're going to be moving the show there. We got to set up the community page. We'll be sending out communication to all of you. I'll be sharing a MailChimp landing page for you guys to put in your email addresses. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to sell you anything. We're not selling the information, but it's a way for us to send you the link to the community so you guys can be there and get the notice to go be part of the digital debates community. So you guys should definitely check it out. Paul says, I wonder if, go ahead, Eddie.
Yeah, I was actually reading that. It's pretty interesting. I wonder if it's like an algorithm that counts how many times a buzzword was said or word comparison combinations. I suspect so. I mean, I think that's what it's about. And I'm wondering, where we go from here, right? That's what I'd be interested to poll the audience for. It's like, how do we help educate or influence these tech companies because they're too strong, right? So what can be done about this? That's what I'm kind of wondering here.
It's very little of what we can do with influencing these big tech companies.
That's why we're going to local.
What we can do is we can take our content elsewhere and move our community and take away maybe an hour that people spend on LinkedIn to Locals. And we're going to do a lot more content on Locals, folks. Like I'm going to be doing some daily 5-minute segments on there. The CyberHub podcast community that's already established on Locals. I'm going to be doing a practitioner brief on there. That's going to be only for people on locals, and it's going to be a completely different practitioner brief. We're really going to break down a story. We're going to do some threat hunting. We're going to do some OSINT. I'm going to show you all kinds of really cool stuff on there. So it's completely different than what we're able to do here on Big Tech. So for example, if I tried to show you OSINT on LinkedIn or YouTube, the content would be blocked because we would be teaching hacking.
Yeah, this is what I mean, right? We are stopping education. You know, this fella, and Paul's comment, thanks Paul, is the reason you're wearing black all the time. went through emo heartbreak. What's emo?
Meaning when Micah left the show a year and a half ago, am I going through heartbreak? No, I've always worn black. I kind of don't like to think when I get dressed in the morning. I kind of want to put on the first pair of pants I see and the first shirt I got, and I don't want to think about it. So
Matt, here's the real reason. Matt's the only one telling the truth here. Put his comment up. This is the answer, Paul.
It's also slimming. Yes, it's also a bit slimming.
That's the real
right?
reason. Yeah,
but I'm back in the gym, man. I'm very excited. I'm back in the gym. It's great.
This next comment is very interesting. Who said that? So that's Nathan is saying, could some countries have farms of low-paid employees that comment on social media to intimidate people who don't support their agenda? Yes, well, that's done in Saudi Arabia. You've got to watch that documentary called Dissident about Kamal Khashoggi's murder at the Saudi embassy in Turkey, and you'll see massive click farms, and of course, click farms in India as well. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to break the back of big tech, right? This is what locals will hopefully start to do. I mean, monumental task. We're really talking David and Goliath here. I mean, really, but that's what's going to have to happen. We're going to have to get our slingshot and a few stones and have lots of Davids running around to take down many Goliaths that were built, because most people really, Clubhouse is struggling. Look how much money they had to get going. Clubhouse's venture capital, I'm going to fact check myself while James is talking next. Clubhouse's venture capital, I think, is $500 million, just VC. Let me check that while James keeps the. There's lots of comments there.
I'm gonna keep the comments going here. Heather says, I heard OSINT and my ears perked up. Heather also says, email's a type of music, Eddie. Let's see. Bao says, I'm interested in this local podcast. Absolutely, we're going to be doing it on locals. So, Bao, if you're not following me or Eddie on LinkedIn, please do so now. You can also go and subscribe to the CyberHub podcast YouTube channel as well. Over the next few days, Eddie and I will post a video with this announcement. It'll be kind of like a 2-minute video talking about what we're doing. And in it, we'll have a link to a landing page to get your email addresses. We're not selling your email addresses. We are never going to sell your email addresses. You can tell that this show does not have sponsors. We're trying to keep it where it's going to end up being supported by the community rather than by sponsors, so that we're able to continue to keep our vision and what you guys love going on. So we'll be emailing you the link to locals that way, so you guys can catch it there as well. So please make sure to follow us here and on YouTube. Matt Lee says, awesome. Matt Lee also says, wheels up, gentlemen. Carry on the good fight. I'm glad you're leaving Chicago, Matt Lee, in one piece. And I'm glad your wheels up. Land safely, good sir, and look forward to speaking you locally, seeing you back home. I will be on there by Paul. Nathan says, we're going to have to defeat them with the pants off, dance off. Yes. And Locals is not iOS exclusive. You can access it from anywhere. There's an app on Android, an app on iOS. There's also the web version of Locals that you can catch it there. And we also do the backstage on Clubhouse. So you guys, if you're not on Clubhouse, the link is in the information part of this video of the live stream. If you just click, it'll be, I think, third paragraph down. You'll see the Clubhouse link. You can go to the room there. We'll be opening that room in about 14 minutes. And you guys can come on stage and have a conversation. Heather just shared the link to Google Play for Locals. And Matt says, only one stabbing. Well, it's better than getting shot, Matt. It's better than getting shot.
I don't, what's the reference? Only one stabbing? What?
He's in Chicago, stabbings, shooting.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah.
you know,
only one stabbing, right?
Only one stabbing in Chicago. So,
right.
You know, that's coming off, you know, really, really well. And Bao says, sounds good to me. Thanks, James. My pleasure. Thank you for being part of the show. Yeah, we're going to keep the show going. So we're going to have our live show, which will be available on Locals once we're able to live stream on Locals. But until we're able to do that, we'll be on Clubhouse, and we'll do an extended show on Clubhouse. Every week, you'll be able to see short videos from the show, so you can catch bits and pieces of it as we go. We'll be highlighting the topic every Thursday for the Wednesday show. We do backstage at 9 p.m. on Clubhouse for the show. Well, you'll be able to tune in there. And then on Locals, as we build out the community, I'll be doing, and Eddie will be doing daily 5-minute videos of something that's on our mind. We could be doing it together. Could be just Eddie, could be just me, but we'll be taking, you know, one thing that's going on, and we'll be challenging you. It'll be exclusive for members only in our community, meaning it won't be on all the Locals unless you're a community member. There's no cost to be part of our community on locals.com. So it's going to be, we're not going to get shadow banned. We're not going to get bullied or punked. We're also not going to change our show and take away our God-given right and our forefathers that established this country's right of freedom of speech. We will continue to push freedom of speech as we go. And we'll continue to honor debate, even if you don't agree with us. We're not looking for an echo chamber. We're looking to challenge our way of thinking. We're looking to educate each other. We're looking to have real conversations. And that's why the Tech Town Square, when we relaunch on Locals, will be called Digital Debate. Right, Eddie? You kind of came up with the idea, brother. So share, because it was Digital Debate was all, you know, kind of our brainstorming session. And I'm looking at all the names, right?
I was pacing around my garden talking about it at the time. No, I think we came up with it together, most certainly. And I love the word debate. You know, I love debating, right? Really, I just enjoy challenging conversation. I'm just aren't you sick of being at the dinner table with friends and talking about just trivia? You know, I got sick of that maybe a good 15 years ago. So, you know, this is so much more stimulating. I would do this show if it was just you, James. I really would. I just love doing this kind of stuff. I'm learning so much myself. And, you know, what I adore about the First Amendment is to stop a person from speaking is essentially to stop them from thinking. Those two things are, if you really were to pay close attention to this, those two things are so closely intertwined that if you can stop someone from articulating themselves effectively, you actually stop them from thinking, because that part of the brain dies and says, well, I can't say this anyway. You just don't start exploring it. And then, of course, when you are exploring a new subject matter, let's take something that's controversial like critical race theory. It's like, why do I oppose it? I do oppose it. Why? Well, the first time I articulate why is likely my worst time articulating it, right? Because you get better over time. So to live in an unforgiving environment means, this is the woke environment plus the shadow banning and all that, so the attack on the First Amendment, means to stop people from exploring and developing their ideas. If they can't be forgiven for tweets they did 10 years ago, that kind of culture, right? That kind of environment. This is so important to everybody, because think about your children in school. Teachers are having to toe the line. Now, they're mostly kind of one political ilk anyway, but they're mostly sensible, decent human beings. They're amazing. Just because we disagree with them politically, it's kind of like neither here nor there. But they're having to toe the line. And then let's say, and maybe you like critical race theory. Okay, we can debate that in the after show. It's a little bit easier because you'll be on the phone with us, right, in Clubhouse. But let's say, for example, you wanted critical race theory and the government is pushing it into schools, which is what they're actively trying to do. As a teacher, you just have to say yes, or you'll lose your job eventually. That's the path. So now our teachers are muzzled. All right, well, this is interesting. So then the children in the classroom, let's say they speak up and they say, well, I don't like this particular course. This isn't history. It's not geography. It's not mathematics and sciences and education. And, this is just social, cultural nonsense, in my opinion. I can give detail to that. But the child is then muzzled, right? Because that child is disagreeing with a cultural thing. You're not allowed to disagree with culture of things of heart. I'm offended. You're not allowed to disagree that I'm offended. How can you tell me about my feelings? It's a strange world, right, that we're living in when we're not allowed to say things. So we essentially shut our thinking down. This is the first time, and really it's on the show that's giving birth to this in my own head, that I'm actually quite concerned. I'm not a total cup half full guy, but I'm quite concerned because I can't see my way out of this one, right? How do we get that freedom back? Because if you give that freedom to a nation, look what happened in 200 years in this nation, right? Superpower, boom, because people have freedom to do this. So it's a really exciting subject matter for me. Why don't we whip through a few comments here, James?
So Nathan says you just made my day, James and Big Ed.
Thanks, Nathan.
And you're Big Ed. Heather says, I love clips of episodes. That's a great idea. The only shadow you're going to have is at the barbershop. And Nathan says we should reach out to Weinstein. We are, without giving too much of some of the stuff we're going to be doing on the show, but yes, we will be having some really high-profile guests. We'll be bringing on a lot of very interesting and provocative people around technology and discussions that will be joining us on Locals, and that will be for our community members, and it costs you $0 to join the Locals community. So please make sure you do that and give us your email address so we can send you the link to that as well. Antonio agreed with everything you had to say there, Eddie. And I just posted the Clubhouse link where we'll be going live in Clubhouse in 5 minutes. So with the last 5 minutes of our show, and the last 5 minutes we'll ever do the show on any one of these platforms.
Right.
Anything you want to say before I wrap it up? Now's the time. Now's the time. You want to say suck it to Zuckerberg? Do you want?
It's a funny thing, James, because I think it's in our personalities and our natures, right? But I am the kind of guy that wants to thumb my nose at, at establishment. It's kind of a contrarian, right? You talk about contrarians. I was called a contrarian not so long ago, maybe like 2 years. And I thought, I was surprised when someone said that. I've been thinking about it so much since. And I think probably, and it makes me wonder, how does one get built? How does a personality come about? I think genetics has a lot to say about it. And I just think, I'm the kind of guy that would like to go out on a ball of fire on, but I do have a profession that I need to maintain on LinkedIn, so I won't do that. But it would be a hell of a lot of fun, almost worth it.
So I just want to say this. We didn't want to leave these platforms. We didn't. Our expectation was that we'd be able to have real and honest debate on all these platforms, and these platforms, being that they are based in the freest country on planet Earth, would allow that to happen and would allow for debate to be taken in place. And Eddie and I invest a lot of time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears into putting this show together. I know a lot of you spend time with us, and we appreciate it, and we're grateful. We all take time out of spending it anywhere else to be right here to have an honest debate. And we owe that to you as our fans and as our listeners and as our partners to the show. We owe it to you to always deliver high-end quality content that you guys can enjoy. And we felt like last week, because of the first shadow ban, we walked away from it. And we both felt dirty after the show. When we debriefed, we felt dirty. And we decided that we don't want to have that feeling when we do the show. So that's why the Tech Town Square is going to be taking a 2-week break. Okay, folks? So today's July 21st. So over the next 2 weeks, we will be off, and we will be back August 11th. August 11th, we'll be back. Hopefully by then, Locals will give us the opportunity to live stream. If not, The show will be on Clubhouse in audio, and we'll go for an hour and a half or so on Clubhouse. Once we're able to go on Locals, we'll be on Locals by August 11th. We'll set you guys up with being able to be part of our community there. I'll be starting to post 5-minute videos every single day, 2-minute videos, just a daily thought that you guys can engage with. We can talk about any topic you want. We'll do a live chat, an open chat, all kinds of really cool stuff that we can do on Locals. It's a really, really cool platform that Dave Rubin has invested a lot of his own money on creating. So you'll be able to join us there. And we're going to now, in a few minutes, move to Clubhouse. Please join us on Clubhouse. I'll put the link here. If you can't click the link or copy or paste it or whatever it is, open your Clubhouse app, look up the Tech Town Square backstage. The room starts in 3 minutes. That's where we'll be. I want to thank you all for being with us here on this journey. We're only going to grow from here. We don't plan on stopping. We don't plan on ending. We plan on being even more precise with our comments. We're going to take you off a place where you can really feel comfortable to also share your thoughts for everyone who's kind of in the shadows, all the viewers that have been in the shadows for all these months. You'll be able to come out and on Locals and join us and comment and so forth within our community. Eddie, any parting words before?
I'm simply looking forward to having greater engagement. I think that's going to be really exciting for us, right? And to give you a voice. Because there's nothing more powerful than a human being with well-articulated speech in today's day and age, right? You know, the brutes and mystics no longer rule the world. You don't have to be, 10 foot high with a barrel chest, right, and a club in your hand. You have to be the one who can lead and the one who is not really the smartest in the room, but the most articulate in the room, right? That's the person that gets ahead in this beautiful day and age we live in our society, right? So the offer is this: let's sharpen each other, right? So come onto these platforms with us in a few weeks, meet us in the after show today, and let's challenge and sharpen each other so that we could be the most powerful people we can possibly be for the rest of our lives. That's it. All right, let's go to the after show.
All right, folks, we're going to Clubhouse. We're going to open the room here in just a minute, so please meet us there. Until then, folks, this is our last time signing off here. Hey, Big Tech. We're going to Locals. Thank you, Dave Rubin. We love you, brother. Here we go, guys. See you in Clubhouse.
Bye-bye.